think that's the ultimate mystery. Two things from this game. One on Vance Joseph, one on Sean Payton. Sean, why'd you stop running? Vance, why did you keep Justin Sternod in this game?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean he's not a great guy or a fine player. It just means on that moment when they were targeting him, he was targeted 8 times. He gave up 7 catches for 100 yards, 100 and some. 100 yards on one guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that they have Shannon Sharp at tight end. I mean, Stone Smart, for the love of God, was getting you. I mean, this is just unacceptable for coaches to keep making these mistakes. And for Sean, it's just ignoring the ground game. And then for Vance, it's ignoring the fact that they are targeting Sternod. They were going after him, pull him, figure it out.
You would have gone to Drew Sanders? We saw Drew Sanders come in and have the sack late and show some of this. I mean, I was going to say show some of the speed. He went untouched and a clear path to the quarterback, which is a good move for him.
Justin Herbert's hard to bring down. I will say this, not to go tinfoil hat on you, but to go tinfoil hat on you. There were reports, and I can't remember who I saw it from. I might have been Parker Gabriel. Shout out Parker.
Parker Gabriel or Gabriel Parker? What's his
Gabriel
first name?
Parker. Parker Gabriel, the Archangel. I don't know. There were reports that Drew Sanders was warming up with the ILBs before the game.
Really?
Now, he's an edge. I had him graded as the number 1 ILB when he came out of college.
That's what was next to his name when he was coming out of college.
Right. So they've moved him to edge, but okay. And Sanders has been back for a couple of weeks. We saw him on the big Marvin Mims return, right? And he's out there blocking, and Mims is pointing, and Jail Skinner's blocking everybody. That was so cool. So it's not like you'd have to worry about, well, Sanders got to get his legs under him. No. He might have been the better option. Try anything. When you went to Chris Abrams-Drain and you finally benched Levi Wallace at the very end of the game against Cleveland, you benched Levi Wallace. Chris Abrams-Drain plays good. And then in his first start, he plays well. And then last night, he plays really well.
Gets interception, a big time interception.
Drew Sanders could be your Chris Abrams-Drains when Justin Sternod is your Levi Wallace. Did that make sense?
That makes a ton of sense. And I would be willing to bet that that's what we see. The game's on Saturday next week, right?
Saturday
for
next
Cincinnati.
Week,
So in 8 days from right now, I would expect VJ to make that call just like he did with Levi Wallace.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't, I mean, look, Sternod, just point blank period, man, that's not good enough. That's what's going to turn you back into a special teams player and not getting to play for, what'd you say, 3 years on the defensive side?
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. And it should. It should happen. Justin Sternod is not the answer at that spot. We knew that Alex Singleton's supposed to be there.
Well, guess what Cincinnati's going to do? And
they're going to go right at him.
They got Mike Gesicki, who's a tree. He's 6'6", and he can run.
Our biggest thing about the Chargers yesterday was they don't have anybody to throw the ball to. That's not the case for the Bengals.
No, not at all. They got weapons. Hey, Burrow, you dropped something. It's not the katana. It's actually wide receiver and tight end talent. They've got a ton of talent to throw at you, literally throw at you. And guess what everybody is doing? Only a couple of games left. I get it. But guess what? What is the film screaming at you? It's screaming target 40.
Mm-hmm.
That's all the Chargers did. And I said it earlier in the show. I'll repeat it here. The Chargers don't do anything complicated. And it's the beauty of what they do. It's the beauty of Jim Harbaugh, right?
He keeps it simple.
He keeps it very simple. Offensively, defensively.
Mm-hmm.
They just execute really, really well.
That's right.
And when their game plan is target 40 and it works and it works and it works and you don't change that, that's on you, VJ. That's on you. The talk of Vance Joseph being a head coach, we need to pump the brakes on that right now.
He's a good coordinator. He's made a couple mistakes over the last few weeks.
I want him to get another head coaching opportunity because John didn't give him any power when he was here as head coach of the Broncos.
No, you're right, yeah.
He had zero power. They almost bounced him after 1 year to get Mike Shanahan back, but somebody shut it down. Joe Ellis, whoever you want to say. The trust. Whatever.
Who hired the trust?
The trust is in place to make sure that the trust is in place.
Right.
Anyway, we're done with that. We're done with all that now. We're looking forward. I'm so disappointed in this team because they're better than this. They're better than this, and they let us down.
I have a question for you. I have a question I want to answer, and I want Broncos Country's opinion on this. RamosLaw.com text line, 303-713-1043, or perhaps you're watching a video on YouTube. Leave something in the comments here, and we'll get back to you over there on YouTube as well. What's your confidence level What did this game do to your confidence level about the 2024 Denver Broncos? Because they still have an 86% chance to go to the postseason.
Okay, so it went 91 to 86.
It went down to 86.
Okay,
yeah. The Chargers jumped up from the 80s to, I think it was 98 now after their win last night.
All right.
So it's still a really healthy number, right? 86% chance to get in the postseason on December 20th with the world that we've lived in.
Yep.
It should be a pretty good feeling. Now, it's buried deep within because of what we watched last night.
You got to cry inside like a winner.
So what's the confidence level? If we just did a 1 to 10 scale, where are you at? Tell us on the RamosLaw.com text line. Throw your name on there, and we'll give you a shout-out on the show. Cecil, I want to give my answer, and it's still at like a 6. Before the game, it was at an 8. Now I'm dropped down to about a 6 because I still see the things there, right? I still believe that this is a very talented defense. I still believe, in fact, I know that Bo is the guy to save the Broncos. He didn't do enough last night. His coach put him in a really, really bad position. So I do kind of drop down a little bit, 2 points, right? About a 6 as my confidence level.
Okay.
This is also with me going like, I didn't think they were going to have a chance to really win a Super Bowl. Could have been looked at as a really dangerous wild card team,
right?
But not a real threat to go knock off the Bills or beat the Lions or one of the top tier teams that we talk about in the NFL.
Okay, that's square biz. You're at a 6.
I'm at a 6.
And I don't want anyone to dare accuse me of being a homer. 1, I don't care. 2, just get bent with that talk. Like, it's at 7.
Okay.
I'd say 7's fair. Mine's probably at a 9 before that.
Sure.
So
we
go
were
8 to 6.
Yeah.
I'm 9. Go to 7. Sounds about right. And here's the thing. To try to get in a better mood about this, the Chargers, you can hang with the Chargers. You prove that. You didn't beat them. You haven't beat them this year, but you can hang with them, right? You might see them in the postseason, and they're the type of team that can knock off Baltimore.
Right.
They can knock off Buffalo. So it would take some maneuvering, especially now because you lost, and you're probably going to Buffalo, which means you're probably not advancing. But imagine if the Chargers knock off someone in your way, because you can beat Kansas City. You can hang with the Chargers. You could beat them if Sean calls a better game. So look at that playoff picture and say, well, the Chargers are so dangerous, they can knock off Baltimore or Buffalo, one of the teams that you don't think the Broncos can beat. Because those matchups, while I'm not afraid of them, 1, I'm not predicting a Broncos win. They play Baltimore in the playoffs, I'm not predicting the Broncos win. They play Buffalo in the playoffs, I'm not predicting the Broncos win. Right? But the Chargers could beat those guys.
Right.
And if you can hang with the Chargers and they beat Buffalo or something, and you're probably going to play Buffalo, but still, like, if there's a situation where you meet for a third time, bold statement, Cotton, they're not going to lose to the Chargers 3 times in 1 year. But if they face in the postseason, at least you know you can hang. Mm-hmm. And the Chargers are good enough because of Herbert, because of Harbaugh, that they can take out somebody. So my confidence level is still pretty strong in this team.
Okay.
Just get to the postseason, so we have to stop talking about the silly, like, well, if the Dolphins lose and then the Bengals lose, and the blah, blah, blah. Oh, all right, enough, buddy, enough.
A few of the texts here. Again, throw your name on here. We want to give you a shout-out on a Bud Light Football Friday. 720-501 texter says, long-term-wise, for years to come, I feel great. Playoff-wise, scary. I don't see us beating Cincy, which is going to bury the hatchet. I'm at a 4 on the confidence level. A couple people are saying 7. Every game is different. Win one more game, and you're still right back in the playoff conversation.
Right.
This is a 5 from the 510. This is Ryan up in Thornton. Totally wish I knew what city you were texting from before I read this. I'll take a 5. The Broncos have not shown enough yet to win in the clutch. Ryan, I can't give you much pushback. Ryan's right on that.
Okay. Is Thornton like your deer trail for me?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay.
It is.
All right. Right on. So 5, is that about the lowest then?
That's the lowest I've seen. 4 from our guy before, but likes the long-term view, but playoff scenario, he calls it a 4.
A 4. Okay. And this is where I don't want to get into the buts that are now back to the surface because you can beat the Chargers, because now it's like, well, they'll make the playoffs, but they'll lose. 25,000-foot view. They made the playoffs with a rookie quarterback. They're already at 9 wins. People called me, again, homer, when I had them at 9 wins. They're already there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we need to step back and be like, all right, this season is a success, but you need to learn from the lessons that the Colorado Buffaloes did not learn from. We haven't yet really talked about this other than off the air. The Colorado Buffaloes were shaping up to be a college football playoff team, and against Kansas, Mekhi Hill-Green, I'll keep blaming him, especially because he entered the transfer portal. Get out of here. They choose their terrible day to have against Devin Neal. You're out. Hey, you're in a bowl game. Yay. Okay, whatever. Alamo Bowl. Fine. Can the Broncos learn that same lesson? Because, dude, you had it right here in front of you. You had it in front of you. You were beating the Chargers. You were beating them. You were scoring on every single drive. You were rolling, and then it stopped because of you, Sean Payton, and it stopped because of you, Justin Cernat, and it stopped because of you, Vance Joseph. So will you learn the lessons that the team just up the road, they could have been playing in the college football playoff? We'd have been having some fun, man.
Sure.
Now we're having less fun.
Yeah.
I don't want to have less fun because of the Broncos, right? I want them to go to the postseason, but more than that, I want them to be a threat. I don't want to be some sacrifice for Buffalo.
Yeah, right.
Here you go, Buffalo. Here's
Right.
your cream puff right in the first round in a wild card round. I don't want that. And I know that if they had the right matchup, if they faced a Kansas City, if they faced a Chargers team, like if they faced a Texans team, those are all three teams that the Broncos could beat.
We do have a texture that is taking that 25,000-foot view, which I do like, and I need to be reminded of that on days like this.
Okay.
They say confidence is a 10 because we're way ahead of schedule.
Whoa.
And I actually think there's some.
Was that Kev? Did Kev just text in?
Oh, yeah,
like
Kev,
that was
is
a
that you?
10 because
No,
you weren't
I'm
a
getting
10?
Jaden Daniels stats.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
He's
he's
working
doing
up the
some
Jaden
homework.
Daniels numbers.
Jaden Daniels has never beat a team over 500. Just
All
throwing that
season.
out
Where's
there.
Spivak? You got to
Just
tell
throwing
Spivak
that out
that.
Wow, look
Tell
at
Drew
Kev.
Spivak for the people that say, "Oh, Bo Nix," and I had the numbers. And James Palmer wasn't doing it to be a jerky, right? Did you listen to Jerky Boys, by the way?
That sounds very familiar.
The
but
guys who do the prank calls.
Oh, yeah,
the Jerky Boys.
yeah.
Anyway, James Palmer, not a jerky boy, really cool, great hair, but
that's a handsome devil. That
he
James
wasn't
Palmer.
putting that out to be like against Bo, but just for the people that are like, well, Bo's only beat one team above 500. What's Jaden Daniels done?
Well, apparently Jaden Daniels is the next coming of Jesus, and he hasn't done anything. So
There will be no Jaden Daniels or our Lord and Savior slander on this show, Kev.
well, I'm just calling a shot at Jaden.
Yeah.
Not Jesus.
No, don't make a shot at either one, man. Jaden is a really good young man.
But he's not good.
He's a really good quarterback. The Commanders haven't
Drew.
beat anybody. Here's Spivak right at. He's like, this is like wrestling.
did you hear that?
Wrestling where Drew
I
comes
did hear that,
in.
yeah.
He gets to run down. Why is your shirt on, Drew? He gets to come in, throws his headset on. Now he comes off the top rope.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Jaden Daniels hasn't beat a team over 500. What do you say?
I don't care. I'm not talking about Jaden Daniels. I'm not worried about Jaden Daniels. I'm worried about the Broncos and Bo Nix. I don't care what Jaden Daniels is doing. I don't care about the Rookie of the Year conversation. I worry about the fact that the Broncos have beaten one team with a winning record this season. That's all I care about. Yeah, they're doing their job against the bad teams. What are they, 8-0 against?
They are 8-0 against
8-0 against teams
teams
under
under
500.
That's awesome. That means they're doing the right things that way. But to sit here and try and say, all right, this team is a legit Super Bowl contender or anything like that, it's nonsense because they've beaten one good team, and that one good team they beat, weren't they missing like their 3 or 4 best players in that game?
You're talking about Tampa Bay?
Tampa Bay, yeah.
All right, if you are a playoff team, are you not a Super Bowl contender? Did I miss that where you can be a wild card team, but oh yeah, you suck and you have a rookie quarterback? Wait, I'm just asking. I'm being a smart ass, but I'm just asking. If you make the playoffs, are you not a small percentage, at least 1%, 0.5%? Give me a number, Drew.
Technically, you are, yeah.
Okay, done. So why'd you say what you said?
Well, but I will say
They're not a
this.
Super Bowl contender. Well, if they make the playoffs, they are.
There's like the eye test version of it and being in the playoffs. But
Why are you bringing up facts? I'm trying to get after Drew.
You've obviously passed some eye tests if you're in the postseason. So it's kind of
So
both
they haven't
there.
passed the eye test for Drew.
Not even close. And I told you guys, remember on Monday, I said because
Not even close?
because we had this conversation on Monday, and I said, listen, you want to impress me, beat the Chargers. The Chargers are a good football team. If you go on a short week on the road and you beat the Chargers, then I will be impressed. Guess what? They didn't do that last night. I'm still not impressed.
Drew is our Shania Twain. You are a diva. You
that's
are a
right.
diva,
Yeah,
Drew.
that's right.
You are. You're
I won't
very.
deny
You're
it.
made up. You're good looking, right? You're well put together. Your fashion is on point.
Uh-huh.
So
Don't impress me much.
You got a rookie quarterback that's won 9 games, is in the conversation for Rookie of the Year, and you've lived in football hell for 9 years. That don't impress Drew much.
Okay.
That's what we just found out.
Yeah,
There we
pretty
go.
much.
All
Yeah.
right.
And I will say this, it's a fun conversation, but we talked about this off air as well. All right, last night sucked, right? You could have been, today was supposed to be a celebration.
Yes.
That's what the whole show was supposed to be
Celebration.
about. The weekend was
Yes.
supposed to be about a celebration.
Yes.
And it didn't come. But if you can take a step back for a second, and we can look at the numbers and tell you they're 1-6 versus teams with a winning record, they're 8-0 versus teams below 500. Let's talk about that second half of the statement for a second. Because the world that we've lived in over the last 9 years, they're not 8-0 against below 500 teams. They are this team. The team that we're complaining about the Broncos beating is who they have been for 9 years. So this is a step in the right direction, okay? And I know last night was terrible, and we're pointing our finger directly at Sean Payton for his play calling, game plan, and performance inside the game. But if you can, take a step back for just a second to look at where we're standing right now compared to where we've been living for 9 years, they're beating the teams that they used to be. And that's a sign that they're doing it the right way, that they're getting out of their own way. There is light at the end of this rebuild tunnel. I know it sucks to think about today, but man, let's maybe embrace that for a second, that these 8-0 games, they're lucky to go 500 in those games over the last 9 years, and they're undefeated in those games right now. It sucks today. They're not going to the playoffs right now. You could back in through the weekend, and that wouldn't even make me feel much better. But I can take something from that to know that I'm no longer going to live in the world of suck that I've lived in for 9 years, because they are doing something the right way for the first time in almost a decade.
Well, now you got me feeling better. And Spivak's got me laughing, so I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better, Kev. Make me feel better. Like, are we coming around?
I think a little bit. I feel a little bit better after saying that out loud. Did we just figure this out, right? Drew's got me laughing. Kev's got me smiling. You're talking, like, real sense into me. Wow.
See, and I agree 100% with everything Josh just said. I think you're spot on with everything there.
Yeah.
I think the part that irritates me the most is that last night was a prime example of why I still don't trust this team.
And I think that's fair, Drew.
I don't trust Sean Payton. He's great one half and terrible another half. Vance Joseph, he's basically let one player dictate his entire defense falling apart. Yeah, Riley Moss is a great player.
Yeah.
But you've got other dudes on this team. You got an absolute superstar on the other side of Riley Moss and Patrick Surtain. You can't let one player dictate your entire defense falling apart over the last 3 or 4 games.
It would be similar offensively if we go star player, because Riley Moss is a star player. So if we said offensively, this Vance Joseph is doing the defense as if the offense would fall apart if Mike McGlinchey missed time, which he did, by the way, and Alex Palczewski stepped in and was fine. Mm-hmm. He was great. Some would argue better. I would argue against that. But like what Drew's saying is true, because it's one guy. One guy. You have 11 players on defense. You can cover up for Justin Sternad. You can. Mm-hmm. Or you can bench him, which you should have. But Vance Joseph it's all scrambled, man, because they lost Riley Moss.
Yeah. I love seeing some of the confidence level texts coming in. It's actually nice. This is helping me as well, that not everybody's doom and gloom. It's not a 0, panic, a 1. It's over. This rebuild's going to continue. Trade Bo. Like, we haven't seen any of that nonsense stuff.
The morning show did get some fire Sean Payton stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, if they can't beat Cincinnati, then fire Sean. I have no idea. So there is a little bit, but that might have been more the 8 a.m. texters. Sure. Or the 9 a.m. texters.
They're still hungover from the night before.
Exactly. Yeah. There's some people that didn't go to work today because they didn't feel like it, right? Because, hey, the Broncos lost, and it affects your mood. So we're getting a little of that. I'm glad that we're not, and that people are coming around. So thank you, Drew, for always being there, and Kev.
If you saw the person I was last night, you might say different. I was a different guy last night, for sure.
You owe Kelsey some flowers.
Yeah.
I'm not the guy to give out flowers, as we've established on this show, but I will tell you better get some flowers.
How close did you become to being the guy that threw his remote through the TV?
Real close.
Yeah. Whoa.
Very close.
Yeah. Whoa.
You guys know the sports walk? You ever do a sports walk?
Oh, yeah.
Where, like, I have to go outside and go for a little miniature walk, or I am going to break something in my home. It's probably not good for me.
No.
But I do that, and I did it last night.
But it was all valid last night.
Yeah.
Because that first half, they legitimately looked like a Super Bowl contender.
We were texting. Drew texted like, this is fun.
I was like, this is so much fun.
This team is fun.
This is awesome. And then the second half, you're like, holy crap, this team is like a top 10 pick in the draft performance.
And then it wasn't
That's what's frustrating.
It wasn't fun, and it was frustrating. What else is fun is saying hi to our YouTube audience. Hi, YouTube.
What up, guys?
Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. We appreciate you for riding with us. Dover and Cecil with Spivak and Kev.
We're going to work through this.
It's a 4-man team, man. We got the 4-man weave going on here.
That's right. I love the weave. Not like a
The
good
weave is
at
great.
practice, dude.
It's great in a practice. Yeah.
We talked about the end of the half. I know a lot of you were confused because I was, and I hope I wasn't the only one. We haven't seen that play in forever. Sean Payton talked about it at the end of the game, getting aggressive on offense, which led to them having the opportunity for the free kick.
I think 40, 41 seconds to start the drive. We'll try to see. Typically, you'd be pretty conservative. We're going to have the ball. We ran a screen. Then when the clock got low enough, we didn't get any momentum going there. We just ran the ball and punted it. The penalty puts them in a position then. And basically, anytime you catch a punt, you have the ability to place it right there, get a free kick. Doesn't happen much. We practice it all the time. The penalty put them in field goal position, so it's disappointing.
All right, I hate that answer as well. That's Sean Payton throwing Traymon Smith under the bus and not taking any accountability for the mistake that he made. And the mistake that he made, Cecil, I'm looking at the drive right now, the play log. 1st and 10 at the Denver 18. Shotgun. Bo Nix pass short right to Javonte Williams for -3 yards. It's over. After that play, it is over. And 99% of NFL coaches know that. Sean knows that. He was just chasing his tail, trying to get those points. We get the ball at half. He's just getting greedy in that moment.
Yeah.
But your first play is -3 yards. It is over, and that's elementary football stuff.
Yeah. Sit on the ball. It's fine. You could have win at halftime with a better lead, and then they don't have momentum from a weird play that only comes up once every 48 years.
Yeah, something a lot. I know the guy that they showed that did it certainly wasn't from my generation.
He looked like Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah.
76, and Smokey and the Bandit was 77, I believe.
He
That's
definitely
a great
has
Trans Am.
a Coke bottle at his feet, and he's ripping a heater as soon as the camera goes
I was going
off.
to say, I'm glad you said bottle. I was like, oh, I mean, it was the 70s, so
Yeah, who
there you
knows?
go. By the way, so now it comes down to the Cincinnati game. So